Hey everybody, and welcome back to Divulgence. Today, my next guest has been into conspiracies since she was 8, and she is now a full-formed black belt in conspiracies. She is also a podcaster, unpublished author, expert researcher. I'm very excited to have her in to start talking some interesting stuff, get the ball rolling, and see where it goes. Please help me welcome Frantic Missy. Hey Missy, how are you today?
Hi, it's nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, no,
yeah,
thank you for coming.
I'm an unpublished author. Like, basically, I'm Bill Gates, except without all the world-changing, spraying shit in the sky stuff.
What kind of stuff do you like to unpublish?
Well, I legit solved like 7 murders for young girls that were missing. And here's the deal, though.
Okay.
Yes, but it involves some very powerful families. And since I have discovered what happened, as most of these things occur, I found out after the fact, what really happened, and everyone that did it is dead. And the organization's moved, so I don't know where they went next. I believe that the same people did stuff at the Vanderbilt house. I believe the same people have done stuff all over the country. I feel that they are really, really, really wealthy, well-connected people you've never heard of, right? One of the main suspects is a woman named Gertrude Legendre, who she's a handful. She was an OSS officer. She was the only woman to ever be kidnapped by the Nazis in World War II. She escaped the Nazis by running over the Swiss border with her passport in the air, because, the Nazis let you keep your stuff. And then during the Operation Paperwork era days, the 2 guards that watched her, she got naturalized as American citizens. She was a big game hunter. She had a Hollywood movie based on her, starring Katharine Hepburn. And she owned this plantation where her daughter, Bakara Legendre, Gertrude Legendre is the mother, right? The daughter is Bakara Legendre. Bakara Legendre is the person that filmed the RFK assassination. You know all those videos you see in the hotel?
Okay.
Of Sirhan?
Yeah.
Her daughter is the only one who got video or pictures. And then her daughter set up with a bunch of Rothschilds, and Linda de Rothschild being one of them, and some Rockefellers, the Medway Foundation, which was a UFO research group on the plantation that her mother got turned into a bird sanctuary, so you can't get a cadaver dog on the site without going through like 8 different government organizations. And then they sold the property in 2009 in a fire sale after Brittany Drexel, who the book is about, disappeared. And guess who bought it? Well, it was one of the Onassis family's cousins in the shipping industry.
Wow. Okay. This is interesting. So these are the Legendres, eh?
Yeah. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a map behind me. See that map right there?
Yep.
My mom and dad, when I moved into a new apartment, my brother was living with me, and my mom and dad were moving houses too. And so my mom was like, we got to move into this little apartment. We're selling our house. We're going to find a new place. But in the meantime, like the market's really crashed. Like there's a lot of, like, we're in Charleston, South Carolina, so everyone's been moving here for years. Like, we don't have a housing boom. We've had a housing boom for, 10 years, 12 years, 20 years. And so my parents were like, we couldn't find a place quickly enough. We sold the house quicker than we were expecting to. So my mom was like, can you hang on to the stuff for me since you've got 2 big closets downstairs? And I said, okay. So my brother, who's living with me, and I watched my mom's stuff. And I was cleaning out the closet one day because I was giving her back her stuff because they found a house. And that map was in there. And it needed a new frame. So I was like, I'll reframe this for them. It is a 1936 plantation map, which means it's probably commissioned in 1933, 1934. And it has all the original plantation owners and their locations in the Charleston area from before my brain just snapped, the Depression had a lot of people lose their property. Well, the Legendre family popped out to me because I was like, I've never heard of Medway Plantation. I was like, usually most of these plantations, they have tours or books, or something on them. And I was like, so I started checking into it, and I was like, holy crap. Like, really? Like, this is insane. And the more I dug, the further I got. And then I realized that Brittanee Drexel, who disappeared, never seen a trail. I mean, they found some sunglasses that were apparently not hers. There's a lot of things in common with the Madeline McCann murder. That's a big part that I wrote about. But Brittanee Drexel's phone last pinged on the road that cuts through the Francis Marion Forest and backs up to Mepkin Abbey, which is they got in trouble in the 60s for molesting boys. Okay. They quit selling eggs in 2009 too, because they didn't want to have DEAC on their property. Kind of weird. after Brittany Drexel disappeared, right? And the road that cuts through the Francis Marion Forest backs up to this plantation I'd never heard of. And so I started digging and digging and digging. I went down to the College of Charleston Library. Bakara Legendre, the daughter, she was a socialite. She had all this stuff that she published. I mean, I've got pictures of her with Jackie Onassis. And then, of course, the Onassis family bought the house in a fire sale in 2011 after she put it on the market suddenly in 2009, right? And there's just there's all these crazy coincidences. And the Brittany Drexel's last phone ping is like on the road that goes to this house. And so I started digging into it. And the family is just nefarious. They would have these New Year's Eve parties, and Bing Crosby and all would show up, right, for Gertrude Legendre.
Okay.
And yeah, again, the only woman kidnapped and taken like as prisoner by the Nazis in Paris. The only one. OSS, that's pre-CIA.
So, okay, so she's an American spy. Wow. Okay. And she's wow. So she's on
and
top
then Brittany
of
Drexel disappears without a trace, right? And there's this family that, you know, everyone's fingered that may have been involved with it. I don't know. But here's the deal. The more I dug into Brittany Drexel and I dug into this family, again, as always happens, it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. Turns out this same family were considered, they're called the, oh God, my brain, it's late. It's Deshaun Taylor is the son. He has one arm. He was 16 at the time Brittany Drexel disappeared. The father, Sean Taylor, Sean Taylor was one of the main suspects in the disappearance of a woman named Shannon McConaughey in 1998. They found her car and then later on found her body, 2 bullets in her, and burnt in the woods, right? Guess where the woods were? Well, right where Brittany Drexel disappeared, right at the end of the road that backs up to this plantation, right? And as you know, as a conspiracy theorist person, like you know that this is all connected, right? So when you see something like that, you go, what else is there? What else is there, right? Unfortunately, Gertrude and Bakara are both dead. So there is no one to talk to. Anyone who ever worked in a plantation will not speak to me. I've called Brittany Drexel's mother. I've called Interpol. I've called the police. I've talked to one of the detectives that is doing the Deshaun Taylor investigation. I talked to the FBI. I have done my due diligence, and I've done all this research. And at the end of the day, when I went to my publisher and I was like, this is what I have, he's like, well, if you turn it all into fiction and change the names, we could totally publish this as an airplane book. It's a great story. I'm like, it's a true story.
So, okay, so this guy
Yeah.
here, this is Timothy Deshaun Taylor you're talking about?
Yep. And he has one arm.
And he's all since then also been killed, or
No, he went to jail.
Okay.
His family. His father was one of the suspects for Shannon McConaughey. She disappeared in 1998, right? They found her body and they found her car. He was also, after Brittany Drexel disappeared, he was the main suspect in a girl that was trying to be kidnapped at the same spot that Brittany Drexel disappeared in Myrtle Beach. Okay. And they let him out because they didn't have enough evidence in both cases. So his family has been kidnapping girls, doing God knows what to him, right? But here's the thing that trips me out. Knowing these lizard people elites, like we do, you know, and knowing what they're up to and knowing what they're into, when you see it's like when you see a hornet, right? And then you see a hornet's nest, right? The craziness that goes on with that family, and also the Catholic, you know, Metcalf Abbey that backs up to that same road, the wheel starts spinning and you go, okay, well, what else? Who else has disappeared? And then I was like, oh, that's right. Madeline McCann, 2005, right?
Okay.
Here's the deal. Do you know what they have in common? Brittany Drexel.
Brittany and Madeline?
Brittany Drexel and Madeline McCann were both born with a disease that causes them to be legally blind in their right eye. Madeline McCann's is in the shape of a key. Brittany's is in the shape of a cross. It's called coloboma or PDHP. Guess who else has it? George Soros.
George Soros. Okay. Interesting.
There's a lot that is connected in these cases. But here's the deal, like, who's going to publish that? Like, how am I going to prove, you know, like, it's just connections.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to turn into a fiction book, it could be an airplane sleeper hit, as my publisher said.
That's the thing, right? There's just so much interesting stuff that you would think that you're pulling it out of an airport thriller or something, right?
Am I able to share screen?
Absolutely, yeah.
Let me pull up this folder so I'm not shooting in the dark because I have all this stuff on it. And you say one thing, right? And that makes some sense or whatever. But when you see like the actual like stuff, it makes you really understand that this is not a coincidence. That this is all intentional, or it's definitely orchestrated. Okay, let's see. Screen. Okay, so here's what I have on her. If you see here, right? Can you see that?
Yeah, John and Tony, yeah.
Yeah, if you notice, those are the pictures. Hang on, let me just. Okay, so John Podesta and Tony Podesta, right? Look exactly like the police sketches that were of Madeline McCann. Now, they tried to say it was two different people. Or sorry, they tried to say it was the same person, but two different renderings of it. But dude, you can't tell me that doesn't look exactly the same.
Yeah, I've never seen that. That's crazy. Okay.
So this is Shannon that disappeared in 1998.
Okay.
Yeah, she was disappeared in Berkeley County. And, the dad in the family was definitely one of the people that was considered to be a suspect in that disappearance and murder. And then it turns out, like, as usual, they didn't do anything about it. They let him go. They said they didn't have enough evidence, right? But all these girls have gone missing since. Shoot, I can't find the file. This is my crazy brain. You guys see this? This is my crazy brain. Oh, here it is.
There we go. Oh, okay. Shit. Okay. Okay, I remember the eye thing now. Okay, I remember that now. Okay.
See that?
Yeah.
This is Brittanee Drexel, right? I tried to zoom in on that one. It wouldn't let me, so I had to use this picture. But look at that.
Yeah, you could see it.
It's very clear.
Wow. Interesting.
So
what do you think the connection is with the eye? Unless not to jump ahead. If I'm jumping ahead, then stop me. But
I think they might be priestesses or something in these crazy elite people's churches or something.
Okay.
This is Gertrude Legendre.
Yeah, you got me hooked on this Legendre now too. So I'm looking. Yeah. This is awesome stuff.
This is just the Wikipedia. Noted big explorer, big time hunter, environmentalist, owner of Medway Plantation, right? Hunter, spy, socialite, right?
That's
her father and her father's father and her father's father's father were all governors of New York, the Sanford family.
Sorry, which family?
The short name is Gertrude Ellen Sanford was her birth name.
Sanford.
And it's Legendre. Yeah, she's a Sanford. So her father was the governor of New York. So this is about Lawrence Rockefeller and the Medway Conference, one of his pet interests, UFOs. Eventually getting turned to the foundation that owned the house and something called the Medway Institute, right? The plantation ran a retreat for writers, artists, Legendre and the board of the Paris Review got door. This is okay. So when they're doing this crazy UFO shit, is when Brittanee Drexel disappeared. If you look on the Google Maps, you will see the Medway Institute still listed. This is that bitch. This is the only woman who ever got pictures of RFK being murdered. The only one. Everyone else's cameras, I guess, didn't work that day.
That's
even though it was a press conference.
That's Legendre again?
This is Bakara. This is the daughter. This is Gertrude Legendre's daughter. She
what's her name again?
Bakara Legendre. And she's the one that did the Medway Institute with Lawrence Rockefeller and Linda de Rothschild. This is where the location, see the road? This is where the last ping is for Brittany Drexel's phone, where it says 1 hour, 1 minute, right? That's the last ping. The previous ping is right there in McClellanville, right? The second ping is right there at that road. Yes. And that's the plantation. And see how it goes to the back roads? Now, if you know that forest, like I know that forest because I grew up racing dirt bikes. And we grew up riding dirt bikes and all. And we camp out in those woods right there. Because this is right off of the track for Honey Hill. It's called the Swamp Fox Enduro. And I worked every year with my family as part of the Family Writers Association. So I knew these woods like the back of my hand. Okay. So when I saw that map and it clicked, because I was looking into it at that time because we just had new evidence come out, I was like, whoa, something just clicked in my brain. By the way, this is in the police article, the police reports, whatever, about, there's more. A daughter and a mother disappeared in 1987 and 1988, 11 months apart, at the same spot. See where it says Strawberry Stop? Right there? Yeah. See that road? Right next to it? The 52 right there?
Yep.
If you see where the map goes down to where that 52 sign is, Right past that is the marker for Medway Plantation. But all the police reports and all the information about this woman and this daughter that disappeared, 11 years old and 26 years old, disappeared 11 months apart, no trace found of either of them, right? The wife's car was found completely wiped of everything at the end of the road. They said it was at a 6,000 acre plantation, okay? And they said it was Mount Holly Plantation. Well, Mount Holly Plantation hasn't been a plantation. And the guy, it was the caretaker's wife, obviously. I mean, such a freaking murder mystery. The caretaker's wife and daughter disappeared in 1987, 1988, right? No trace ever found them, right? Okay. They said on everything that it was Mount Holly Plantation, right? You're looking at Mount Holly Plantation. It's now a Google data center. There's no way that the daughter and the mother could have disappeared because it was a phosphate plant before that. It's not been a plantation that needed a caretaker since, the late 1800s. That's the Google data center. Isn't that crazy?
What? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got all these pictures. This is a creepy necklace from. So here's the story. It's Corinne Lynn Sagers Malinowski, right? Just November 21st, 1987. 26-year-old woman disappeared from Mount Holly, South Carolina. She mysteriously disappeared and did not show up for work. Her car was found parked in front of Mount Holly Plantation. I just showed you Mount Holly Plantation. Okay. It's not been a plantation in forever. But guess who does have a 6,000 acre plantation that would need a caretaker? Well, that would be Medway, wouldn't it?
Of course.
Are you reading this?
Yeah.
I don't know if people listen to this or if you just do video, but I can read it for you if you like.
Yeah, if you sure, go for it. Yeah, for the listeners, wonderful. Thank you.
November 21st, 1987, Corinna Lynn Sagers Malinowski, a 26-year-old woman from Mount Holly, South Carolina. Also, again, Hollywood, holly trees, sacred plants, Hollywood, Florida, where they train the hijackers. Mount Holly, South Carolina, mysteriously disappeared when she did not show up for work and her car was found parked in front of the Mount Holly Plantation. But that's not even the most bizarre aspect of the story. On October 4th, 1988, Corinna's 8-year-old daughter, Annette Sagers, was on her way to the school and went to the bus stop in front of the Mount Holly Plantation when she mysteriously vanished as well. To make things even stranger, a note was found at the bus stop which read, Dad, Mama, come back. Sorry, Dad, Mama came back, give the boys a hug. While it looked like it may have been written under duress, handwriting experts determined that Annette likely wrote the note. It has been speculated that Annette's mother may have returned to reclaim her daughter so they could disappear together, but she also left 2 sons behind and no one in their family has heard from either of them in 25 years. In 2000, an anonymous caller claimed that Annette's body was buried in Sumter County, but that lead never panned out. Overall, this is a truly baffling mystery with no discernible solution. Now, here's the deal. The date of that phone call was March 31st, 2000, okay? Like the older Legendre, Gertrude Legendre, she died March 8th, 2000.
The same year or the year before? Sorry.
March 8th, 2000, Gertrude Legendre dies. March 31st, 2000, an anonymous caller claimed they found Annette's body buried in Sumter County. Now, the location that they were looking for in Sumter County, where that body was at, is a place that they supposedly found a pair of sunglasses that belonged to Brittanee Drexel. And then it turned out it might not be her sunglasses at all. Planted evidence. Kind of weird, huh?
Yeah, why would it even come up in her name come up in the first place?
I don't know. I mean, I think that this is all connected, and I think that they're doing something on purpose in regards to that. And this is some stuff from the Medway Plantation archives from the library and the College Charleston Library, because again, Gertrude Legendre was a big socialite in Charleston. Like she would have all these like big, to-do parties at Medway Plantation. And this is like their typed up information. Her husband was Sidney J. Legendre. He was from New Orleans. Now here's the deal. They bought the plantation in 1929, again in a fire sale. The owner of the plantation said that she was put under pressure to sell as quickly as possible. And it's just crazy because in South Carolina, you don't just sell a plantation that's been in your family for hundreds of years. If you made it through the Civil War, you kept on to it, you held it,
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how they were able to even buy that plantation. But so this is about born American parents, James Gilbert Legendre. This is the husband or the husband's mother or father, and Cora Jeanette Legendre, London, England, November 1st, 1903. Childhood spent in parents' home, New Orleans, Louisiana. Attended Hugby Military Academy in New Orleans. Sorry, this light behind my eyes is getting to me. And it's very you can't see it very well. Member varsity track team, transferred to Princeton University, again, Princeton, in 1922. Varsity football, a local light heavyweight champion, Triangle Club Orchestra. Graduated in 1925. They bought the plantation in 1929, sailed to Europe on three-masted schooner, Traveled the following European countries on this and 8 subsequent trips: England, Ireland, France, Belgium, Holland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Czechoslovakia. This is 1923, right? 1925.
Okay.
That's the year she was in college. Sweden, Norway, Czechoslovakia, Austria, Greece. So it's like, dude, he had to have been a spy too. Traveled to the Near East, Pakistan, Iraq, Iran. Look how they spell Iraq. I-R-A-K. Iran, Syria, Egypt. Traveled to the Mediterranean. Blah, 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 blah. Returned to America January of 1926 and sailed on a schooner through the Panama Canal to Hawaii and all these other places. This is that spy woman's husband, right?
Interesting. That's some interesting travel there.
This is from a New York Magazine article about Bakara Legendre, Tennyson's property. She drew these extremely detailed, intricate pictures of the human heart.
Okay.
Freaking creepy. They're way too realistic for someone who isn't a doctor, you know? Because even when you have a cadaver heart, right? It's usually stored in formaldehyde, right? She took pictures she drew pictures of it, right? And she made paintings of the human heart that the heart looks like when it's still in your body or freshly out of the body, not like one that's been soaking in like stuff for a while.
I can't find any pictures.
This is the art exhibition. See, this is where that came from. So this is New York Society, the Social Diary from New York. If you'll see here, it's Palm Beach, Bears Linen, Newport, Fisher's Island, resort life, right? And it's talking about Jackie Kennedy, right, in 1964, right? See that? Yeah. The Breakers at Palm Beach. So that's Jackie Kennedy at the top, right? If you scroll down, guess who that is written in the middle? That's Bakara Legendre.
In the black?
Yeah.
Interesting. So she's hanging out at Palm Beach.
Yep. They all hung out.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Which makes me think that Jackie might not be as innocent as we thought she was. These are pictures from the costume-themed New Year's Eve party that Gertrude Legendre had every single year. And this is some of the costumes people wore.
The Colonel.
What the hell is this shit? Time and Chokum ink neckties, right? As we well know, how many people hung themselves from doorknobs, you know?
Yeah. And neckties definitely terms.
That's a creepy hat,
associated with hangings. Yeah, absolutely it is.
These are the kind of people that she had it. Sorry, I don't know if you can tell. I don't know how to turn it sideways.
No, that's all right. That looks like a creepy group there for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
These are pictures from her world famous New Year's Eve party. I mean, I did lots of research on this stuff. This family.
So it's just to back up real quick. So is the main bloodline or whatever the Legendre bloodline? Is that?
No, it's Sanford. It's her daddy.
The dad is Sanford.
The governor. Her daddy was the governor of New York State.
So Sanford and Legendre. Okay.
And then her great grandfather was also the governor. And her great grandfather, her family came over here on like the Mayflower or some shit.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And where have we seen families, you know, president and governor and this and that, the Bush family. Yeah.
Oh, a friend of mine told me that he thinks that the modern art industry is money laundering. And then I saw that shit come out about Hunter Biden and his paintings. And I'm like, wow. All of a sudden, that makes sense. I mean, think about it. You can buy these paintings for NFTs as well. It's money laundering. So this is just some letters and some information. This is an article that was in the paper. This is interesting. It was Legendre brother. So it was Sidney and his brother. And as we well know, like, yeah.
Okay. They look very similar.
So yeah, the Medway Institute, you can see it here on the Google Maps.
Geez, so I guess you've gone and checked all that stuff out at Medway?
No, I can't get on the property.
Okay.
Yeah, first of all, it's a bird sanctuary, right? So no one can get on the property. Okay. And then on top of that, see, there's a whole bunch of like people just disappeared that are around this house. Girls. This is the map that I was telling you about.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, okay.
Here's the symbol.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Plantations, shooting properties and townhouses on the South Carolina coast. Now here's the close up. You can see there's Somerville, right? There's Charleston where I live right there, see? Here's the list of the names that own the plantations.
Okay, wow.
So you can find them on the map because there's a grid, see? It's a really cool map. But yeah, you'll see here, you'll see Medway. Oh, shoot, it got cut out in the picture. It was at the top. My bad.
No problem. There's Sanders, though.
So here's talking about Madeline McCann's Cobloma, right? This is my creepy murder board that this is how I kept the boys away for years. I'm like, want to hang out at my house? Yeah. They're like, they just want to Netflix and chill. And instead they got a murder board. I'm like, just ignore that. They're like, what is this? I was like, they're like, it's just talking,
solving
like,
murders
like,
here.
Yeah, you see their eyes like drift over to like, and then they look at me and they look then they want to go home.
That's funny.
So yeah, this is Obama's mama.
Oh, there's okay. I've never seen those photos. So okay, there they are.
Oh yeah. So this is a friend of mine made this for me and sent this to me because he was trying to explain to me the prevalence of being blind in the right eye. Right.
Oh, okay.
So there's a meaning behind that. Right? The eye of horus stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
Which eye is that in the eye of Horus? It's the right eye.
Yep.
Which is why I think they may have been like taken to be some kind of priestesses or something. I don't know that they're necessarily dead. I mean, Brittanee Drexel's mother herself said that she didn't think Brittany was dead. Sorry, that's the one I was looking for. See, the right brain function, right? And that'd be attached to the left eye because remember it's reflective, right? It uses feeling, big picture oriented imagination, rules, symbols, and images, present and future, and philosophy and religion. That would be your right brain function, right? Your left brain function uses logic, detail oriented, facts, rule, words and language, past and present, math and science. Okay, so if they were going to get some priestesses, right, that were blind in their right eye for some creepy, whatever it is they're doing with Moloch owls in the woods, right? Wouldn't you think that to blind the public? Because people ask me, they're like, why would someone fist fight over toilet paper? There's canned goods behind them. It's hilarious.
Right.
Like, what the hell, right? You can't eat it. It's not even a relatively, it's only been invented in the last, people used to use Sears catalogs to wipe their ass, right? And then, so, I mean, how many people are like, I can't understand how my friends, my family, how can they not see this? How are they so blind? How can they not see this? Well, what if, again, this is I can't prove this, but what if they perform some sort of ceremony using these girls, right? That made the public blind in those particular fields. Logic, right?
Okay.
Facts, fact-based, right?
Yeah, those would be
one had an eye in the shape of a key, the other one had an eye in the shape of a cross.
Right.
And are there other girls that have gone missing? Because usually when they do these ceremonies, they call the four corners, right? So you would assume that they would be in north, south, east, and west, right? Well, Brittanee Drexel disappeared from the south, right? Madeline McCann disappeared from Portugal, right?
So
but she was from England,
right?
North. Yeah. So is there a little girl in China missing? Is there a little girl in India missing? Is there a little girl in South America missing? Right? Call the four corners.
Wow.
I can't prove that. I wish I could, but again, if you're not one of them,
okay,
they'll tell you blatantly to your face what they're going to do. But finding facts on it, like proving it, especially to a blind public, it's impossible.
Okay, so you haven't found any cases where there's been, that would kind of match up. Yeah, east.
There are plenty of cases
west, with the eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that they use again, I was just listening to this the other day. Joe Rogan was doing an episode, and I was listening to it, and he was talking about the bodies museum they do in Vegas and stuff. But he went to research, how did these guys get here? What's up with that? And it turns out they're from China, probably from prisoners, right? So he's like, what if this is a Uyghur Muslim that we're seeing? What if some boss didn't like his wife having the tennis instructor talk to her too funny in China?
Okay.
Now we're looking at his body, right?
Right.
So,
okay.
Knowing how many disappearances, I mean, we've had how many millions of people that just disappeared off the register since COVID, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And the same thing's true in India. It's so easy to snatch a kid. There's videos you can watch on YouTube of people kidnapping kids.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do in these other countries, especially third world countries or communist Iron Curtain country. So if there was two of the little girls, we wouldn't hear about it, And if it weren't for the mothers, at least in Brittany Drexel's case, if it wasn't for her mother, I don't think it would still be a topic. I don't think people would care as much. But it was because she told her mom she was going to go to Myrtle Beach. And her mom said no. And so she said she was going to go with her friend to a local beach and lied and got kidnapped and was never seen again at 17 years old. So
Jesus, that's crazy.
See, but that's the thing is like, it's one of those things where like, if I could sum it up into a paragraph, I would tell everybody, but it ends up being a 720 page book.
Well, it's so much stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
And documents and,
So what, I mean, I know it's sometimes it's tough, but can you speculate on what you think happened with Brittany Drexel and Madeline McCann?
Yes, I think they did some sort of strangers on a train, like switch, where Madeline McCann's case is crazy too, because right around the corner from her, I think it was less than 2 blocks away or 2 streets away, was Sigmund Freud's grandson, Clement Freud. And Clement Freud was later on a convicted pedophile. Okay. Never served any time, as they never do. He died. Really? So, and he was serving Madeline McCann's mother tea, right? I think Madeline McCann's mother, which a lot of people agree, that I think they're like, I think your mom had something to do with it. I was like, I think the mom was part of a cult. Like, because we know the OBO, right? We know when it comes to like the stuff that was going on with, what was it? The Nexium, right?
Yep.
Yeah. If Madeline McCann like disappeared, right? And the mom was part of one of these crazy cults, it's very possible that she was like, for the greater good, I will be happy to give up my child. I think that might have happened with JonBenet Ramsey as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's something about these cases, right? And no one can put their finger on it, that are weird, right? Do you know how much money they spent looking for that little white girl? Billions of dollars.
Wow. So he owned a home right near there. Yep. Wow.
And guess who Clement Freud was married to? Clement Freud was married to, oh God, I got the notes somewhere. It's not right in front of me, and it would take me a few minutes to find it. But no look up who Clement Freud was married to. All right. Because his wife, you know how C.S. Lewis wrote The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, right?
Yep.
It was based on this little girl that was staying with him during World War II when they were forced to evacuate London during the Blitz. That's Clement Freud's wife.
June Fluid?
Okay. Yeah, she became an actress, but this is a little girl.
Jill Raymond.
C.S. Lewis paid for everything for her.
Oh, here we go. She was evacuated to C.S. Lewis's house in Oxford.
Yep. Yeah.
Been the inspiration for Lewis Pennywise in the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
Evacuated from
C.S. Lewis was married to a woman who was 33 years his senior, right? And her daughter, because she was married before him, her daughter turned out to be like this raging alcoholic, which would embarrass the family all the time. Now, you can't find anywhere details of what she said to embarrass the family, but it is known that when she was a little girl, C.S. Lewis lived in the house. So would it be too far to suppose that she had something happen to her as a little girl? Because Clement Freud's wife, right, who married a pedophile, right? She married a pedophile. Let's be clear.
Right.
Okay. A serial pedophile who was Sigmund Freud's grandson, right? Would it be too far to suppose that he molested her too, because he paid for all of her college?
So you think C.S. Lewis was molesting this Joy Davidman here?
Yeah, I do. I think he also molested the daughter that became a raging drunk. And everyone's like, oh, all these Christians are like, this root tape letter is like, oh, C.S. Lewis is one of us. I'm like, no, he's not. No, he's not. And Sigmund Freud, he might have been a genius or whatever, but you think about the sick stuff he talked about, something happened to him too.
Yeah,
it had
absolutely.
To. And then his grandson is this like horrific, like pedophile, right? On the level of like very similar to Jimmy Savile shit.
Okay.
He's evil. And this was 2 streets away from where Madeline McCann disappeared. There are also flight records. Now, I cannot find them. They've been scrubbed. I have them somewhere on a hard drive, but I have not been able to find them yet. Hopefully it wasn't in the computer I threw away. But I had screenshots of flight logs that proved the Podesta brothers were in Portugal visiting, guess who? Clement Freud, right about the time that Madeline McCann did. I think they've been scrubbed because I can't find them anywhere now. I looked for them for like a while and then I was like, whatever.
Okay. Wow. That's crazy. So if something gets scrubbed, if you're using, what's it called? The Wayback Machine or whatever, that won't work?
I don't know. I don't know anything about, I don't know how to use that.
Oh yeah. Neither
do I. Use it?
No, but I have to look into
I should
be
better at computers. I'm working on it. I just learned how to do crypto because all this crazy, stuff that's been going on with mana, which I think is interesting. They called it after the food that was on the ground during the Exodus from Egypt.
Oh yeah, is that right? Okay.
Manna from heaven. Did you know that they are selling property like a town square shit. They're selling real estate in this Decentraland. That's what the currency is. What everybody's been flipping out about in cryptocurrency the last couple of days. The Facebook one, right? It's not a Facebook currency. It's for a VR town center, like town square, and you can use it for real services. Yeah, and there's all this real estate.
Okay, but it's virtual reality though.
Yeah, but it's in VR. I mean, I have my Oculus like Quest 2. I talk about All Space VR all the time. That got bought by Microsoft, but I talk about that all the time. It was really neat though. They did a big update on it, so it's not all of a sudden all this stuff that I loved is like missing or gone. I mean, people are working on it, but it's gonna have to like get updated and all to work. But they had a Bohemian Grove museum you could go to.
Damn.
In VR.
Interesting. Okay. Wonder what that would be like.
It was awesome. The guy who made it was a former employee of Bohemian Grove. And he was really creepy about like, and really sketchy about giving his identity or like giving interviews or talking to anybody, because I've went through every back channel I could find and talked to all these different people trying to get his information so I could interview him and talk to him about it. And he wouldn't talk to anybody. So it was passed on to me not to ask any more questions. So.
Fair enough. Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's got to protect his, who knows? I mean, if Hillary Clinton's killing people, right?
Exactly.
And the Bushes have no shame, and Walter Cronkite from the news, right, is the one that's giving the overview of the cremation of care ceremony, where they use the effigy of a child and they sacrifice it by burning it to Moloch to throw away their cares and concerns, so they don't have any more guilt.
Yeah, Bohemian Grove, that stuff's crazy. Do you know a lot? I mean, I know a little bit about it. What's your take on Bohemian Grove? Are you into that?
You have to remember, this is Druidic sacred forest stuff, right?
Yeah.
Wood was no accident. That's why this Mount Holly stuff, Ivy League schools, it's sacred plants. It's Druidic. That's why the Ivy League schools have the creepy want to be a member like groups. Yeah,
and they're linked to a lot of these secret societies as well when you get into like the Skull and Bones.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen the cartoon Bimbo's Initiation, it's on YouTube. It's free. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor, watch it. It's absolutely insane because they tell you exactly who they are and exactly what they're doing.
What is it? Bimbo's Initiation?
Bimbo, Bimbo, Bimbo's Initiation, and it's a cartoon with Betty Boop in it.
There we go. 1931.
We can watch it together if you want. We can watch it if you want.
Yeah, sure.
This is gonna blow your mind. I hope you're ready.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna add you to my YouTube premium.
Sweet. Okay.
Introducing the shorter
Can you hear that in your end?
Yeah, it's super loud.
Okay.
We are the members of Do It or Die. D-I-D-I-D-I.
Now I'm gonna turn it down a little.
Bimbo as easy as pie.
That's okay.
Watch this shit.
You bet. Filled with college prep. Bring him on the cry. D-I-D-I-D-I. B-I-M-B-O. Bimbo.
It's Mickey Mouse too. Watch this. It's Mickey Mouse that gets him. Watch him fall in the hole. Mickey Mouse does it. See?
Oh.
Mickey Mouse.
Of course. That anti-Semitic bastard. Oh boy.
By the mystic order of the
The Candleheads.
Wanna be a member? Wanna be a member?
No.
Okay, so you said no.
Yeah.
There's the way out.
There is no way out. Look familiar?
What's up is down.
Upside down world. Yep.
Yeah, distorting the
Wanna be
reality.
a member?
Yep.
Wanna be a member?
No.
Be careful where you get sodomized.
Oh. You always got to keep moving or else they'll get you.
They'll sodomize you.
Yeah. Always got
That's
to
right.
keep moving.
Yeah. He wants his ass.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh.
The candle has decided. Candle's not gonna help you, bro.
No. The game is fixed.
This is so great. I'm so glad you're watching this. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a loop. Yeah. It's all
They
connected.
can kill you. They can kill you anytime they want. But they choose not to. They choose to torture you.
They weigh it over your head.
Yeah. It's sort of Damascus.
They taunt you.
Dance and flame. Think about that.
Yes, interesting. That's very simple.
The more you resist, the more you fan the flames.
Yes. No.
It's all illusion.
Want to be a member? Want to be a member?
No.
Oh.
Look familiar?
Yes. It's all.
The mirror. It's just himself. It's so deep.
In there. Hello, May. I've got a bone to pick with you.
No. Not the question mark one.
Don't ask questions.
Yep. Look familiar?
Yeah,
What do they do to
yeah.
college? What do they do in fraternity?
Yes, yeah.
Look, it's the pool. Like at the Vanderbilt mansion.
And the floor, checkered floor.
Yep, like my checkers. It's an illusion.
Yes.
Don't worry.
yes.
They do what the CIA always does. They bring in a woman. It's Obama's mama.
It's a honeypot. A honey dick in you.
It's Obama's mom. Looks just like it.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
There's no way out.
Taunting you again, there's no way out. They let you believe there's a way out, and you keep falling for
It's
it.
getting smaller. It's Alice. It's like Alice in the Looking Glass kind of stuff, you know? Sorry, Alice in Wonderland.
They lock the door once you've gone that far, you can't go
Yep.
back.
Yep. Constant fear of having your head chopped off. The shadow's chasing him.
Oh, jeez.
This is entertainment, by the way.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Trauma. Just constant trauma.
He spit up his own heart and put it back in.
Yeah.
He swallowed his own heart.
Oh, again. The operative.
Yep.
Honey dick in you, shaking that
She's
booty.
twerking.
Holy, no kidding. That's some 2021 Lizzo twerking right there.
She's doing a hypnotic song.
Yes, yeah. MK Ultra belly dancing. Mind control shit.
Yes.
Mass humiliation.
Betty Boop. It's one of Betty Boop's first appearances. One of the first times Betty Boop's ever been seen in a cartoon. What do you think about that? Do you want to be a member? Want to be a member?
Want to be a member. That's crazy. Oof. Interesting. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
And that was that. That was a really long time ago.
Yeah, 1931. Only.
Mhm. Yeah. So it's not like they've ever hidden what they're doing.
No. Symbols. They put so much
Did you see how
importance
much?
into symbols,
Did you see how
right?
many symbols? Like,
I know. Like, I mean, and
look,
there's probably so
look,
many that I missed too.
he was trying to outrun being sodomized
Yeah.
by a knife. Like, what is he, Gaddafi?
Yeah, I know, that was crazy. I mean, like what was with the? I mean,
I can't believe you never see. Well, I mean,
yeah.
it's made its rounds, but I guess a lot of people haven't. A lot more people should see that cartoon because
Yeah,
it
that's
explains
crazy.
to you. It tells you everything that they do. That dressing up, men dressing up as women, you know, using honeypots, like using Obama's mama, you know, stuff.
And
like,
just like
yeah.
the subtle Mickey Mouse, Disney,
Mickey Mouse locking him in.
and the Nazis.
Mickey Mouse locked him in.
and yeah,
He fell in a manhole, right? And Mickey Mouse locked him in.
yeah, that's crazy. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that with me. That's cool. That's.
I think it's interesting you got a Rolling Stones poster up because you know all about them, right? Now, granted, for me, it's the Goonies. I know it's fucked up. I know what they did. But I just suspend animation so I can enjoy the movie with my kid. Because I know.
The Goonies?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Steven Spielberg is just.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Goonies, though. I don't know much about
Well,
all the shit that went down there.
Corey
yeah.
Feldman's in it, right? And Sean Astin, who plays one of the main characters, who plays Mikey, he is the son of Gomez Adams. Okay. And I forget who his mom is. Hang on, where's my iPad? I gotta look it up real quick. But yeah, Sean Astin is like not just a nobody. He didn't just fall out of the sky, you know? His mother is someone famous too, and I forget who it is. You know, Rudy, Sean Astin. Patty Duke. His mother's Patty fucking Duke.
Oh.
Patty Duke and the guy that played Gomez Adams. John Astin. Yeah, Josh Brolin's in it, yeah. My son about lost his mind when I watched The Goonies again because he loves that movie.
So was this one of the was this around the time when a lot of these kids were
yeah,
getting
because I mean, yeah, this is like I think Corey Haim is making that movie that he got messed with on at the same time, like right around the same time. It's all, you know, how Hollywood is. They used to go to these parties that they would have for these kids, and it would just be like they encourage the parents not to attend. They're like, oh, you know, it's going to be supervised. You don't have to come. It was a mess. It was a mess. But they could get away with that shit in the 80s because they had the media on lockdown. There was no YouTube, you know? There was no podcast. There was no one calling these people out in any way. I mean, there was a couple books, but what are the chances of you getting a hold of that book? That'd be hard to find, wouldn't it? How do you advertise a book? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, back then? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like this stuff is new. There have been some people that have been trying to report on it, but not to the level it is now. I mean, like, if you do the wrong thing, I mean, think about how many people could cancel you. Like,
yeah, well, if that's your work,
now,
if that's your job.
Yeah. So now take that and turn that into the 1980s, right? Especially when like they had the satanic panic. There's all this stuff going on. You got to remember that the year the Goonies came out. Check me real quick. What's the release date of the Goonies? And how does it coincide with George Bush becoming vice president?
1985. Senior or junior?
Senior. Because he became vice president after bringing him a shot. I wonder why.
He was president 89, so 4 years after the Goonies.
No, he was vice president for Reagan first. When did he become vice president?
Oh, vice president, sorry. 43rd vice president. 81. So 3.5-ish years before
so yeah.
came out.
So when you hear about the crazy stuff that went on in Hollywood in the 80s, right?
Yeah, and the whole, I mean,
the head of the CIA is now the vice president. So
yeah, and then that's when the Franklin scandal stuff was going down.
No, there was also the original Fast and Furious was Oliver North and the gun running, the Sandinistas and all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like here's the thing: if you don't look this stuff up, I mean, how many hours a day do you spend reading stuff? Because I spend most of my life. Here's the deal: you can't, if you watch television, you don't have time for research. You just don't. There's no time. Yeah. But because I don't watch television, now there's all this time to look into stuff that I, want to read about.
Nice.
And when you know what to spot, like when you see these people for what they are, again, like with the Brittanee Drexel phone ping, right?
Yeah.
That's when you go, it's too close.
Mm-hmm.
It's too close. I think they were doing something in the Vanderbilt mansion, right? And I think they moved it to, I think they moved an entire operation of people that were performing spells, rituals, who knows what, because this is a plantation out in the woods.
Right.
And the mother was a big game hunter. And you know what happened with the Rothschild, Black Forest estate, right? So, I mean, it's not far-fetched to assume that they weren't using this location backing up to Mepkin Abbey, which is already got in trouble in the 60s for molesting boys, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not far-fetched to assume that there's some connection. And then you find out the house goes for sale in 2009. Then you find out that Mepkin Abbey, they used to deliver eggs, right? I lived in this little beach town called Folly Beach, right? And I remember I went to the beach one day and I was grabbing some stuff, and I used to work at this little gas station, like a little corner store or whatever. I lived on my sailboat. I toured most of the year, or like 7 months out of the year I was on tour. And when I was at home, I lived on my sailboat and I worked at this place called Bert's, and I would make like $300 a night in tips on the weekends. So I didn't have to do anything else. I didn't have to have a regular job. I just hang out at the beach all the time, And I went back to hang out with my brother. I think it was 2000. No, my parents moved. My parents moved to Folly Beach. That's what it was. And I went to go to Bert's to go pick them up some stuff for breakfast because I crashed at their house because they were moving in and I was helping. And there were no eggs. And I was like, what happened to the eggs? They're like, oh, well, they quit doing that in 2009. And I was like, why? And then Julia going to the store. I used to work for her, so we're pretty tight. Julia goes, oh, well, she goes, between you and me, they didn't want DHEC on the property for some reason. She goes, I think they're mistreating the chickens. That's what she said, because she's a hippie,
Okay.
And then I looked at all this other stuff and I was like, oh, why wouldn't you want a government facility organization on your property all of a sudden when a 17-year-old little girl goes disappearing?
Right.
What's up with that?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to go, this matches this matches that, and this matches.
Exactly. Sometimes it's just a puzzle.
And this is just one of my many interests. I really should get a life. I try.
It's interesting stuff.
It's so hard to, remember you were a kid and you would go to the playground and you would go down the slide and you'd another kid was at the bottom of the slide, you hit him by accident with your feet, right? Because they weren't getting off the slide yet.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm sorry, man. And they would get mad and you fight for a minute. And the next thing you know, your best friend is and you're spending the night at their house, right?
Sure.
As adults, because we're jaded, it's so hard to make friends as an adult. And most people go to the grocery store or the gas station and they stand in line. And if it's taking particularly long, they make small talk, or they go to bars. And after everybody's had enough drinks to finally put their phone away, they have conversations, right? Me, I'm standing in the grocery store. I'm like, so how about those lizard people? And I'm like, no one's going to like what I like.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's gotten to that for me too. Sometimes when
it's just that they're living in a completely different world. They're living in a completely different world, and I'm living in a different world than they are because I can't just watch a movie. Everyone's like, watch this, watch that. I'm like,
fuck no, this. I start getting all stressed out and I'll start spouting about something.
I have a list.
I start looking crazy.
I don't keep the list for me. I keep the list for them. So I can say I put it on the list. Because it's not that I'm not interested in what you have to share.
Yeah.
It's that I know who the director is. I know who one of those actors is. I know what they did. I know too much. And the narrative is so blatantly clear. And the bullshit is right there that I'm like, I can't even enjoy, a good sci-fi movie because I'm like, the predictive programming. I can't even, it sucks. So there's certain movies, like I said, The Goonies is one of them. There's songs, there's music artists that I love. You've got the Rolling Stones, poster up.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
And what they did at, with the Hells Angels, and about the 13-year little girls that they were molesting, and that it's crazy that Keith Richards has outlived David Bowie and freaking Prince.
Outlived a lot of people.
It's insane. Yeah. Maybe he pickled his body. Who knows? But there's definitely something there. There's something up with that.
Yeah.
There's something going on there.
No, I hear you. It's over the years.
Even their symbol is sus as hell. My son taught me the word sus the other day. I was like, I've never heard of that.
Nice.
I didn't know. I didn't know what it was. He's like, that's super sus. I was like, what's that mean? He goes, it means suspicious, mom. And I was like, okay, new word. I know what the kids are talking about now. Sus.
Nice.
I'm 39 years old, so I'm not really in the loop.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Hey, no, it's always good to stay up to date, right?
My favorite band when I was 8 was the Beach Boys, you know?
Oh, all right. Cool.
I was obsessed. Did you know that Brian Wilson has 8% hearing in his left ear? He's a savant.
8%?
8% hearing in his left ear. He's a savant. He's a legit savant. And then there's all that stuff with Dennis Wilson falling off the back of a sailboat. And then there's the fact that he was connected with the Manson family.
Yeah. There's some interesting stuff there. I read a few months back, I read Chaos by Tom O'Neill. And yeah, it talks all about the Beach Boys connection, Wilson there. What are your favorite what sends bells off in your head that you're like, I can't stop looking at this? Lately I've been super into the secret Nazi history and Nazis in the occult and the Project Paperclip stuff and
Gertrude Legendre. I delivered
how it leaks into NASA and during the war with the stock markets and the Bushes funding the Nazis, and there's so much. It's just unbelievable. There's so much.
That woman, Gertrude Legendre, got the 2 soldiers that were her guards as Nazis, right?
Okay.
Pardoned and brought to America and naturalized.
Yeah, fuck. There's so much.
Remember,
she
ran over the Swiss border, holding her passport in the air. That's how she escaped the Nazis. Do you believe that?
Yeah, she got.
If you believe that, in 1943, 1944, I've got some swampland in Florida.
That's crazy. I mean, sometimes you got to just wonder, they must have got a pass, or they're working with someone, or there's some sketchy deals going on there, and the Nazis were working with everyone to an extent at some point.
Yeah, I don't know how we did not see that coming.
Oh, I did not see that joke coming. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna build rockets, right?
Yeah. I mean, these guys.
They knew how. They knew how. If they had not lost the war, the Nazis would have been the ones that went to space first. Although I noticed the other day, it blew my mind. Hang on, let me see if I got an example. Hang on 1 second.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to see this. I didn't even realize this till the other day. I was looking at it. This box is in that box. Do you see this? That is a penis rocket. That is a flipping penis rocket.
That is a penis. Interesting.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I've never noticed it before. That is Amazon. Jeff Bezos and his penis rocket.
That's Jeff Bezos' dick pic penis rocket.
That's a dick, right?
That's crazy.
That's a fucking dick.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. I feel like I need to get a cowboy hat and go to space now.
Nice.
He's awful. But here's what what are you gonna do? Who are you gonna pick? Who's worse? Jeff Bezos and his penis rocket, or Walmart with their FEMA cams? It's we need to buy toilet paper from the gas station. It's like $4 a roll. Fuck that. Nobody can afford to be picky. Unfortunately,
yeah, exactly.
they got us. They got us hook, line, and sinker. We're fucked. I use Amazon more than I use anything. And honestly, you know why I use Amazon? Because I will never set foot in a Walmart ever again. So I've been boycotting Walmart for 6 years now.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll never go back.
Yeah, it sucks because when you're trying to cut out companies and organizations that do harm and just do bad, at some point I need to.
We're always shocked when these CEOs do douchebag things or act like douchebags, right? But here's the deal. Anybody who rises that far or has that successful of a company, right? They don't get there from being really nice guys, right? Sociopaths, psychopaths, American psycho kind of guys,
right,
make it to the top because they're willing to do whatever it takes.
Yeah,
it's absolutely insane. Hopefully
you'll be down to come back. I got quite a few different things I want to bring you back to talk about. I definitely want to do something on Tartaria. I'm still putting things together, but just what I've been presented and what I've been looking at, there's definitely reason to believe that there was some history going on that seems to have been erased. And I don't know. Yeah, it makes me look at things different and just think about what the past was and whether or not we're in the future now, or if we're still catching up to the past, which
we don't
it's-
know what year it is.
Yeah,
We don't know what
exactly.
year it is, 'cause
Whether it comes to
they
calendars
mess
and
with our calendar.
years
Yeah.
and
The Gregorian and
technology and
Julian,
yeah, exactly, Missy. Yeah. So
the pharaoh, what was his name? Was it Amenhotep, the one that became like switched all the temples, or is it? Oh, no, I can't remember which one it is. But there was a pharaoh that when he was pharaoh, right, and he made them all like move the temples to make the sun god the major god in Egypt. He gave him a new calendar, right?
Right.
That's a very common thing. The French gave themselves a new calendar when they threw up the government, right? It's not a new thing to come up with a new calendar. We don't know what year it is. And even then, it's still just a number we're giving to something.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a number you can put on it. It's like time. Time isn't even real. The only time matters is if you're late somewhere. And if you're late, well, that's according to what? The clock
It's
that you've been given.
Yeah.
And it runs our lives like Pavlov's bells. And it shouldn't be. I mean, if you don't have a job, right? You don't know what fucking time it is. You'll stay up to 4 a.m. researching conspiracy theories, right? And they'll go, oh my God, it's 4 a.m. And then when someone, or when you're in like not a telegraph room, excuse me, a clubhouse room, and someone's like, it's 3:50, I better go. I'm like, don't say what time it is. It's not even real.
Yeah.
Right? It's a man-made construct.
Sure,
and
yeah.
Linear emotion. Technically, all time exists at the same time. And not only was Newton wrong, but Einstein was too. And also Einstein fucked his cousin. So,
Damn.
But, oh, yeah. He's married to his cousin. Yeah. They love that. Those cousins, they're everywhere. Prince Philip, he's a cousin.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. That's another one. I'll bring you back to talk about celebrity and royal family related stuff too. I'd love to do some stuff on that with you too. Well,
the thing about Tartaria, that as you go on researching this, I want you to remember this. When they did the World Genome Project, right, where they took genetic material from people all over the world, right, and tried to find out where people came from. Like, where did you come from? What's your origin, right? And then they came up with this myth that Genghis Khan like raped all these people. Unless he had like, why he wasn't running a country or an army, right? He had some guy that's like, girl. And then the percentage of those that got pregnant, right? I want you to think of it. You know how hard it is to get pregnant? It's actually very hard to get pregnant. Like, unless you're a teenager and you're not supposed to. Like, it's actually very, out of all the teenagers that have sex, like maybe 4 of them get pregnant in high school, considering that like most of them are like either fooling around or having sex or doing dumb shit. And they're not educated properly about what that is or what they're doing. And their parents obviously have 2 jobs and don't pay attention, or they're getting divorced or something, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's not easy to get pregnant. And Genghis Khan apparently had a guy that that's the only way this could make sense. He had 2 of them fucking all the time, 24/7, to have that be a real thing. What if I were to tell you that Genghis Khan was Tartarian, not Mongolian? Because remember, the people that write the history are the people that win the wars. What if I were to tell you it's not the Great Wall of China, it's the Great Wall of Tartaria? And it wasn't to keep out the Mongol hordes built during the Han Dynasty, right? What if I were to tell you that it was to keep in the Chinese who were trying to escape the tyranny? What if I were to tell you that all the wars, the Balkan Wars, right, the Crimean War, all that, what if I were to tell you that wasn't a war, that was a genocide? What if I were to tell you that the witch burnings, right, and Martin Luther, right, known scatologist, by the way, he loved poop jokes for legit. He was into scatology. He was German, though. I mean, you kind of expect at this point. But we're like, what if I were to tell you that the witch burnings were not because there were witches? It was a genocide. What if I were to tell you that World War I was about genocide of the Tartarians? Because it worked. Because guess who they starved to death? It wasn't us. It wasn't the Allies. The German people, the way they were treated at the end of World War I, which by the way wasn't, everyone knows about Franz Ferdinand, right? They're like, that's what started World War I. Yeah. Nobody really knows what the fuck World War I was about. It was 2 cousins, technically 3 cousins, right? Battling over Britain. There's no way Britain could have taken over France again. So there was no argument there. And Russia, like, he was having a hard time managing his own property. He was dealing with the Bolsheviks and stuff. The Kaiser in Germany, he was just trying to like come on the up and up, right? And take back, because you gotta remember, it was the Holy Roman Empire right? The Catholic Church that took over the Roman Empire. Rome never fell.
Right.
The church just took over.
Oh,
And
sure,
you think
yeah.
about that. Yeah, and you think about the fact that like, why would Kaiser Wilhelm, like, he was trying to fight the Catholic Church. What if I were to tell you that they were all Tartarians? And it's not just that war. We're looking at the Czechoslovakian War between the Czechs and the Serbs. We're looking at the Crimean War. We're looking at the Baltic Wars. We're looking at, I mean, how many wars have been fought over that little piece of land? Why? Could it be that it's not a battle against, think about that. Even if you have different religious beliefs, right? You learn how to live next to each other. You have to. I mean,
Sure.
I got a neighbor
Sure.
who's a hardcore leftist, but I don't go like shoot her and burn down her house, right?
Right.
This is what this is about, what these wars were about. There has to be something more. What is the number one reason that people are willing to die for their, not for their country even? What is the number one reason that people are willing to go to war? You look through history, it's
Religion.
right? And the ethnic cleansing stuff, it's very suspicious. I mean, Hitler with the trying to exterminate the Jews, was he a madman? Was he a Rothschild?
Right.
Was like, what was that about? That was weird, wasn't it? And what happened? All of Europe was completely trashed. And it was such chaos that there's no way to even tell who was buried where. If we know our lizard people, for lack of a better name. By the way, guys, if anybody listens who doesn't know me, I don't actually believe in real lizard people. I just call the elites lizard people because I think it's disgusting. I don't think they're better than me. And it's just the best name for them. It's like it's a nickname for these 13 family bloodline garbage people. But yeah, I mean, like, when you think about that, when you think about what happened and how many people went missing and how they don't like to waste a good opportunity. And you look at Martin Luther and you look at all these wars, the 30 Years' War, the 100 Years' War, right? Start looking at that from a position of maybe these aren't Genghis Khan's rape victims. Maybe they're all Tartarian.
That's crazy.
Mm.
Yeah,
So when
the
you look at it from that angle,
implications.
you're gonna come up with you're gonna come up with different facts. The mud flood thing, like, dude, that is like some Alex Jones, like Sandy Hook shit. It's like thrown in there to make it unbelievable.
Right.
It's meant to make it unbelievable. And it is unbelievable. I mean, yes, there's pictures of this, but I mean, if a picture could solve everything, then, wouldn't there be like a million crimes where they'd be convicted over a picture? It's not always what it looks like. Pictures can be set up. Like it's in especially with the stuff we can do today and the computer and all, like there's just, I think the mud flood stuff, I think that is a psyop. So you don't pay attention to the real thing, which is that what we're talking about is generations upon generations upon generations of 500 years, maybe more, of genocide. And it's the royal families and it's everyone, and they're covering it up. And then you got to ask yourself, why would they want to get rid of the Tartarians? I want you to, I'm going to give you some homework.
Yeah, exactly.
Look into Genghis Khan. Look into
how special were they?
Look into the Star Forts and all. Are you kidding me?
The Star Forts, yeah.
The statue. Did you know the Statue of Liberty is on a freaking Star Fort? I didn't know that.
That's crazy.
I didn't know that until I was like, watching a YouTube video of like, I like to watch these tribal people like check out VR and stuff and like them trying new things like ice cream that they never had before and like watch their heads explode. It's great. But Pakistan, like, it's great. It's called Tribal Try. It's great, guys. Check it out. But yeah. They were doing a VR where they were going to New York and they were like, it's like I'm really there. And then they show the Statue of Liberty and I was like, oh my God, it's sitting on a pentagram. It's sitting on a Star Fort. Well, I didn't know that before. I never knew that. It's not something that, I mean, it's probably come up before, but I've been like, whatever,
Yeah.
It's not about this, whatever. But yeah, like it's crazy. Like when you look at, the statues, when you look at, the way that the Great Wall of China is formed, when you look at, these wars in the same area, when you look at who they were fighting and why they were fighting, right? The Serbs, the Bosnians and all. When you look at, wars that went on for like 100 years, right? What were they fighting for? Power? Like, do you know anybody? Have you ever even met somebody that you were like, I don't know, he tortures animals. You might be a serial killer one day. Have you ever known anybody who'd be willing to go kill their family, like have their family be killed, have their house invaded, right? Lose all their property, spend all their time in a castle because they couldn't live in a regular house because they had to build like stuff. Like, do you know anybody who'd be like willing to live that kind of lifestyle?
Right.
And these people did it for like 100-some years. Wouldn't you be like, after like 10 years, like, you know, that we don't even have the support of the people anymore?
Yeah. Let's try something else.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the Tartarian thing, when you look at it from that perspective, it's a whole different bag of donuts. And I think it's sad that the mud flood stuff gets in the way of finding that. Because that should be what people are looking at. They should be looking at the fact that this is a genocide and that this is the largest empire in the history of the world, right? We've seen it on maps. And again, if anybody out there is listening to this and they're interested in Tartaria, remember when you look at these maps, that it's not a 1527 or a 1523. There's usually an I or a J in front of it, and people confuse it for being 1,000 years later than it actually is. So be sure to pay attention when you look at these maps to know if it's an I or a J, because it could not be a 1. You could be shown a map, assume it's 1567, and it's actually J567.
Okay.
Or I567, which means like the year of our Lord and something, I don't know. That's what that meant. Yeah.
Okay.
So be careful with your maps, because even those can lie to you if you don't understand what you're looking at.
Fair enough. You've given me so much things to think about, never mind the homework to prep up for next time. I guess we'll leave it at that for now. I mean, I'm sure you know with this kind of stuff, you can keep going and going and going. I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you must be getting tired at some point, but
stupid tired.
Before we go, is there anything you want to share with my listeners, viewers, anything you want to get out there at this time?
No, I'm a guerrilla. Like, I don't do this to make money at it. Like, it's so funny. Like, every time I try to do something for myself, the universe, whether you want to call God, I call it God, but you know, whatever. For some reason, anytime I try to glorify myself, never works out. Something always happens in my personal life that keeps it from happening. And I've figured out that, like, I'm not here to like make myself look cool. By the way, I'm not cool. Not cool. I'm never gonna be cool.
You're real sweet. You're real cool.
No, I'm really not. I mean, like, if you can move and put an accordion in your hand, you are not cool, okay? But anytime I try to like glorify myself, it fails. And I'm glad for that, because this isn't about money. This isn't about fame. This isn't about looking cool. This isn't about getting followers. This is about, again, like I said at the beginning of this episode, if you just reach one person, right, it changes, because then they're going to reach at least one person. And they're going to reach at least one person. And you're passing it on. You're paying it forward, and you're passing the buck. And I don't do my own thing, because anytime I try to do my own thing, like, it's not what I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm not supposed to be famous or known. I'm just supposed to share. And I don't really care about that anyways. Like, my son was trying to tell me, he's like, who do you think's a better YouTuber, this person or that person? I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm like, just which one do you like? You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why do you think he's better? He goes, because he has more followers. And I'm like, honey, no, we're gonna have a talk now.
Yeah.
And I sat him down and I was like, you don't have got a YouTube channel. He goes, yeah, but you know, you don't have a lot of people that look at it. I was like, it doesn't matter, because if one person looks at it and it changes their life, then I'm famous.
That's what matters.
Then I'm famous. That, in my mind, that makes me famous, you know? And it's just, I can't focus on that stuff. It's like watching a really good, like, comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, could you imagine like seeing like Super Troopers and never talking about it with anyone?
Yeah. It's one of the most talked about comedies in my life.
Yeah.
My life, probably.
Yeah. Can you imagine seeing The Big Lebowski and then,
oh yeah,
you know,
that's a good one,
right?
for sure.
But at the same time, like, people that have seen The Big Lebowski, people that have seen Super Troopers, right? If you say a quote and they hear that and they go, oh my God, I love that movie. And all of a sudden you're best friends.
Exactly.
Because you connected on something that is like still kind of obscure.
Right.
But what's the point? What's the point of knowing this stuff if you can't share it? Then that's creepy. Like, you can't Netflix and chill by yourself.
Yeah. No, that's true. No. Yeah. That's what I like to receive. I like to give. I like the sharing of information. Absolutely. It was wonderful having you again. thank you so much. I sure hope that you will come back. I'm going to bring you on to do something on Tartaria, and there's some other topics that
I have visual aids.
Awesome.
So.
No, that's great. No, that's sweet. So I'll be in touch soon, and we'll figure something out. So I thank you so much for your time. So just one other thing I want to mention just to the listeners and viewers. Again, I got a giveaway going on. I'm giving away 2 signed copies of William Ramsey's newest book, Global Death Cult. So just hit me up on social media, any of the channels, just follow me and send me a message for an entry into that contest. But other than that, again, Missy, thank you so much for coming.
And if you guys want to follow me on social media, I do have a Twitter. It's under Frantic Missy. Cool. It's a dumpster fire, so enjoy. I also have an Instagram, and if you want to send me something on there, please feel free to reach out, because I try to answer you. Unless you send me an unworn dick pic, we're cool.
Beautiful. Okay, yeah, I'll include those in the description as well if you're okay with that.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, wonderful, Missy. Thank you so much. Have enjoy the rest of your night. Yeah, awesome. I'll be in touch soon, and we'll get together again.
Have a good rest of your Halloween.
All right, you too. Bye.
I don't celebrate it, but bye.
See you, Missy. Bye.
Bye.